Hello, hello. So I am super excited today to have my beautiful friend and coach, Susan Findlay, with me. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm just really excited for Susan to share her wisdom with you today. Susan has so many strings to her bow. She is an incredible individual who I actually connected with last year. Susan and I were both working with the same business coach, and we were on a group mastermind together and just really hit it off and have become friends since, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm actually working myself through Susan's positive psychology course just now, and loving that and the insight that it's given me to my own life. So, Susan, do you want to do a little intro to yourself, who you are, what you do?
Sure. So my name is Susan Findlay, and I am a trained life coach, positive psychology coach, also trained in hypnotherapy and NLP. So I have a practice where I work largely with individuals who are struggling with mental health issues, largely like anxiety, depression, low mood, feeling stuck, or in really negative mind spaces. Mind spaces?
Yeah,
Headspaces.
headspace, mind space. Yeah.
To help them get unstuck and really unpack what's keeping them there, and look at how we can help them move forward. So unpack beliefs, conditioning, programming, all that kind of stuff, and just help them move forward, living a happier existence effectively. And interestingly, I've had a couple of weight loss journeys this last little while, so that seems to be something else that has kind of fallen out of getting people unstuck, is off the back of that they've shed loads of weight. So had a client who came back to me in September. I'd worked with her in May, and she'd lost 4.5 stone.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I know, right? Isn't it? And that was not the intention. That was not her purpose for coming. But during the process, she realized that she was worthy of having the body she always dreamt of having.
Love it. Love it. That's so incredible. And I was just waiting to say, like, all those, the conditions or things that you mentioned there, they're things that affect us on such a subconscious level. So the work that you have mentioned that you do is that deep subconscious work.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking of, before we came on the call, about who I am, just that first introductory question. And I actually had a bit of an identity crisis last year. And I've possibly told you this because we often share, don't we? But I didn't know who I was anymore, because I had come from a corporate background. My role was made redundant. And then I moved in from my bachelorette pad and back to the town, almost the town where I grew up. And so it almost felt like my entire life had changed, and my career and my job was a big part of who I was. And I'm part of a course at the moment where it just made me go, shit, I don't know who I am anymore. And what was amazing in that is really understanding that in my new role as a coach and helping people, as I hadn't shifted my identity of who I am and who I want to be. And I don't know if you've ever come across the neuro levels created by Robert Dilts. It's something that is in the NLP sphere, if you like, and it's almost like it's a model, kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you have the pyramid. And the foundation is environment. So that's what you do, or sorry, where you are. And then on top of that is behavior. So what kind of things you do. Then on top of this, you have skills. So what are you good at, your skills and capabilities. Then above that is beliefs, and then identity. And at the top, it's almost like transcendence. And the bottom half of that pyramid is the conscious stuff, right? So people come for weight loss, let's say, that's the behavior. But until you change the beliefs and the identity, which are at a subconscious level, then you're never going to fix the problem, because the problem is all based on the subconscious beliefs of not being good enough to have the body you desire. It might be that somebody's had unwanted attention when they were thin, and they're holding on to this weight because it's protecting them. The brain only wants to keep us safe at a basic level. So I've been really diving into this identity piece for myself and unpacking who am I now in my new life, and that's a lot of the stuff that we work on as coaches, isn't it? As beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just to say that that whole identity thing is something that's so big. It's something that I work a lot with clients, in particular around anxiety, because a lot of that is trying to hang on to maybe this person we once were, or this person we think we should be, as opposed to who we are now. So there's a lot of work, and you mentioned worthiness there, and I think that is a huge part of that as well, being accepting about, okay, well, who do I want to be? Like, I am worthy of, whatever your heart desires, really.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the beliefs and the conditioning are the parts that keep us small and hold us back, and all of those things. I wanted to just kind of like dive back a little bit. You mentioned that obviously you had been made redundant. So, what was your background before, and then kind of what drew you to this area of work?
Yeah, okay. So I had worked 12 years in a corporate environment. I had grown up the ladder, hard work and persistency. And then my role was made redundant 12 years down the line. And I was like, whoa, it was like the rug was taken from under my feet. It was a huge part of my identity and who it was. And in that corporate workplace, I was a go-to person. I was a person who would connect people. I was a person they would come to if they wanted to test a product or ask for, client feedback or whatever. So it was almost like I was there on my own, in my house, in my head, in my thoughts, going, where do I go now? And as part of that redundancy package, I got a retraining grant. And so then I thought, right, what am I going to do with this? And I was like, right, should I train in social media? Because I was in sales and marketing. So I thought, right, should I use it for a digital marketing course? And I thought, no, I'm going to do something that I love, because I've studied personal development for years. The Secret was my key that turned me on to it. I think
perfect book to read this time of year, people, if you're listening to this when this comes out.
Absolutely. And it's a good way to think about your thoughts, isn't it? Which is a big thing that I always do a lot of in my coaching. And so I did an NLP course. It was a 5-day intensive. And I always thought I would never want to work for myself, because it was just not something that I would do. I wouldn't have the drive or the motivation or whatever. But I was always envious of people who had their own business, because I wanted to do that, And at this course, the guy who was teaching us offered us the opportunity for a 6-month mentor package. And it was to train in hypnotherapy, NLP, and life coaching, plus a 6-month mentorship with him. Now, at the time, I was like, oh my God, this could be my thing. My heart was pounding with excitement, because I could see myself doing it. And this could be my chance, But fear was crippling, my beliefs were showing up, my limiting beliefs were showing up, fears were showing up, where I was like, no, nobody would ever take me seriously as a coach. But the universe was presenting me an opportunity, and I thought, I'm actually just going to listen to my higher self and go with it. And I did.
Love that.
However, I did all the training, and then the fear was still there, as were the beliefs. And I went and took a job. So I took a job, which was a year's contract. And then the pandemic hit, and I was put on furlough. And then obviously that contract came to an end. So the universe was not giving in on me not starting this career. It was like, okay, girl, you've got no money coming in. You're going to do this. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm taking the signs. So that's really what got me started. That was a year and a half ago almost. Since starting my business. My training was probably a bit longer ago than that. And that's probably got me to where I am. And so glad that I did. I was talking about identity. So, and this is a big part of it. I've gone from being quite senior, I was on the board at my job, to coming back down to the bottom of the ladder. So quite high up the ladder, back at the bottom. And that is where the beliefs and the identity and all that stuff starts to reappear, the imposter syndrome. But what I've been working on really hard is the gratitude that I've got for now having a new career, a new opportunity to help people. So when you can actually start to flip, gratitude is a big part of positive psychology. When you can actually flip the things that are triggering you or hurting you or scaring you or whatever, into, well, what can I be grateful for in this? You know, it's a great reframe.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And I think it's so great that you are sharing that vulnerable side, that, like, you know, even as coaches, as life coaches, hypnotherapists, you know, spiritual life coach, anxiety coach, whatever, you know, whatever we are, we all have these limiting beliefs ourselves, and we continue to work through them, to progress through them. So it's not like we suddenly do a course, we do our training, we start working with clients, and we've suddenly got all our shit together. Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it's good for people to realize that actually, you know, we're still doing the work as well. And yeah, we might have a deeper understanding, but these things come up regardless of where you're at in life. So it's not that you're failing, or that, like, you know, you're at the bottom or whatever, you know, these things will come up throughout your life, and the tools that you are teaching people through the work that you do, and the work that I do, is to support people that when these things come up, we realize, like, oh shit, we're not just failing and falling, that actually, you know, we can progress through these things and learn and grow. And I know learning is something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. And even mindset, isn't it? It's another part of positive psychology coaching, is growth mindset. And obviously it's in all coaching, to be fair, it's not just limited to that. But again, it's how can I enjoy this process and adopt that growth mindset as I grow, as I evolve, as I share and teach with others. And so there's always opportunities to grow and learn and be better. And that's part of the process, isn't it? That's one of the most beautiful things.
I love that you used the word joy there as well. That's a big word for me this year, like thinking about trying to, if something is challenging, like how can you make it more fun? How can you bring more joy to the situation to get you through that period of, you know, labeled struggle, whatever.
So is that your word for the year, Suze?
What's that?
Enjoy your word for the year.
No, I've actually got 3 words for the year.
Okay. Yeah.
You know how I just can't stick to one. So my words are practical, efficient, and organized.
Excellent. Love them. Mine's
So what about you?
I've only just come up with mine's last night because I had a few. And last year my word was change. And I always write it out, and I write a little spider graph with all the things that change means for me. And when I reflected back on that, I was like, what? Sorry, no, it wasn't change, it was growth. And when I looked back on that, I was like, wow, what a year of growth it was for me. And this year my word is embodiment, because
love that.
What I have realized is I know a lot of knowledge, and I teach and I coach, and I sometimes don't do the do myself, or don't do as much as I could or I would want to. And this goes back to identity. You know, if I was to show up as my best possible self, what would I be doing for my health? If I was to show up as my best possible self in my business, how would I be embodying that? So it's almost like this embodiment is creating my new identity, so that I can just remind myself every day.
Yeah, I think that's a great word for people to ponder on that are listening or watching. That embodiment element of everything is so important. I actually just had an email from another coach, and they were speaking about that, and embodying the year ahead, and embodying, you know, what it is that you teach and share and all those things. And yeah, when you do that, you begin to connect with that authentic part of yourself, and it feels true, and it feels more comfortable. So yeah, that's a beautiful word, Susan.
Even on the coaching journey, you know, so when I start any, or even on discovery call, you know, it's one of the questions I ask everybody: are you going to do the work? And you and I have spoke about this before. You know, people who've read your book and said, oh yeah, well, did you do the work? Did you do the task? You know, you have to do the do, because you can take the knowledge on board, but if you don't apply it and implement it and embody it, then you're not going to get the results. The key is to adopt what you've learned and integrate the teachings, isn't it?
Definitely.
And that's as any coach wants any client to come along, is to commit to doing the work, because when you do the work, the results go exactly where you want them to go. The people who don't do the work, they're the ones who perhaps it takes longer or whatever.
Definitely. Incredible. So from your coaching and, you know, the hypnotherapy and all that, what's your favorite part of your job?
I would say helping people realize their potential, because we're all born perfect, right? We all have the same unique opportunity to be whatever we want to be. And then life happens, doesn't it? You know, like environmental situations, could be how you grew up, might be people in your life who've shaped and influenced you. But we all still have that innate potential within us to be whatever we want to be. And when you work with people who are stuck, who've come from a really negative place, who've been on antidepressants for 20 years, you know, to help them unpack the stuff that they think's been holding them back, or sometimes it has, you know, because a lot of it is perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you sometimes have those revelations, or when you help people realize their own potential, or know that they're worthy to have the body that they've always dreamed of, or you know, be in the relationship that they're deserving of, that kind of thing, then that is the most rewarding part of the job. I love it so much. Really, really makes my heart sing.
Yeah, yeah, that transformation, isn't it? When you see that that person evolve and transform, it's such a beautiful thing. So I mentioned, obviously, I'd worked through your working through your positive psychology coaching program with you. Tell me a bit about, like, I obviously know, but for anyone listening, how does that kind of differ, I guess, to maybe just like a traditional life coaching experience?
So positive psychology, I guess, is really it's building on what's good in life and what's going well. And it's really to create balance and a broader perspective and outlook on life and hope for the future and that kind of thing. And there are 6 pillars within the framework of positive psychology, which they've defined as being all-encompassing for good, solid, healthy well-being. And these are positive emotions. So we all obviously want to experience positivity rather than negativity. And I was watching one of your, I don't know if it was a podcast or something the other day, and you spoke about, we have a negativity bias as human beings, right? And we have to have 3 positive thoughts or experiences to negate a negative one. So experiencing positive emotions is really important.
Yeah.
Engagement. So this is the things that you're good at. So if you build on the things that you're good at rather than the things that you're not so good at, then you can get into what's called flow states, or your zone of genius, where you actually enjoy what you're doing and you find this passion within you. And as part of the positive psychology coaching framework, there's different strengths tools that we look at, which will really identify what your strengths are. And I know that, Suze, you've done it. So you know what your strengths are. And sometimes it can be, oh, that's interesting. And sometimes you're doing what your strengths are.
I think it's really valuable, sorry to cut in there, for people to recognize about their strengths. And as you mentioned there, really working with their strengths, as opposed to constantly trying to change the things we're not great at. What about recognizing the things that we are actually good at and using those, as you said, to our advantage, rather than, you know, focusing on, oh gosh, well, I'm rubbish at such and such, I need to work really hard to suddenly change that, when actually maybe you don't, you know?
Exactly. And if you think about even children at school, it's like the system is set up to push them into things that they're potentially not interested in, not good at. Whereas imagine if we actually allowed them to focus on their strengths and develop that, how much that would change those little humans coming in adulthood. So that's strengths. Then there is relationships. You know, we're obviously all social beings, and relationships are a big part of being human. You know, we all want to belong. So relationships, and good, healthy, solid relationships, are another big pillar. Meaning, you know, we all want to have, again, as human beings, meaning and purpose, live a meaningful life. You know, how do you want to be remembered for how you contributed? And when we contribute to something greater than ourselves and are of service to others, is when meaning really becomes a bigger part of who we are. So there's meaning, accomplishment. So that's about achieving your goals. And, you know, we spoke about mindset earlier. So really how you use your mindset to help you achieve the goals that you want to accomplish in your life. And an accomplishment sounds like a grand word, doesn't it? But when I was doing the masterclass for this month and your Spirit and Soul membership, I procrastinated so long on doing it. And of course, once I did it, it was like, yay, it's done. I'm going to go out up the town and have a cocktail to celebrate. So something as small as that, you know, where you've been putting something off for so long, is accomplishment. And then health, you know, if you don't have, this is more about your physical health. If you don't have a healthy body, then it's really hard to do any of the mind work, isn't it? So yeah, that's really the pillars that we focus on when we go into the coaching.
It's such a great framework and beautiful holistic approach to coaching and supporting. I know that you obviously mentioned at the start, you kind of work with mindset quite a lot, negative patterns and, you know, things like that. Is there anything that you notice, like a kind of anything in particular that comes up that you see regularly? Is there like a negative thought pattern within individuals that you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. It like comes up again and again?
Playing the victim.
Okay.
That is the biggest one, actually. And, you know, people who are in victim mode have a genuine, solid reason for being there normally, okay? Because a lot of this change work is brand new to people. So they don't know. And if you don't know, right, you can't do anything. But when you have an awareness of something, then you can change it. And so many people have come because they have perhaps had a bad upbringing, or not a bad upbringing, but situations in their life have led them to believe that life is always going to be shit, that nobody's ever going to be there for them. People have had a lot of trauma in their life, people who've been ridiculed for their body image by family, you know, for most of their life. So a lot of this can, and especially when these have been patterns that they've played out in childhood, you know, effectively are all stored in the subconscious mind, because we as children are a walking, talking subconscious mind, because the analytical brain has not yet formed. And so we've got a lot of
absorbing all
unhealed 5-year-olds running around as adults. So yeah, victim mentality is probably the biggest one. And it can be very triggering for people as well when they understand that. You know, I remember one client, possibly way back last year actually, who just left really pissed off. That's when we were seeing people face to face, and I was like, just trust the process, you know. And when you know, it's like somebody leaves a session, that's when the processing starts to happen, that's when the insights come, that's when we see their behaviors or their beliefs popping up. So yeah, that's definitely the first thing that sprung to mind. But
yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think that's a really difficult one to take on board. And I know towards the end of last year, wasn't kind of in deep victim mode, but was kind of feeling quite sorry for myself and like, oh, why me?
Me too. I don't know if it was the energy in December, but I was just in a funk for a long time. So I feel I was there as well.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, but as you say, it's having that awareness to see it for what it is, allow it, you know, okay, I can see it, I know why you're doing this, let's now begin to pull ourselves out of that.
And the thing with victim mode as well is like teaching people only you're responsible for your life. There's nobody or no thing outside of you that can give you the peace, the happiness, the positivity that you want. Only you can do that. And until you start to understand how the relationship isn't going to make you happy, or healing that thing with your mum, you know, you've got to do the healing inside first. And when you start to understand that only you're keeping yourself a prisoner in your mind and within, aren't you? It's like, I heard an analogy once of, it's like you've been locked in a cell for months and then you find the door in the corner and open it and go. Like, that's great. It's true, isn't it?
I've got an oracle deck that has a card like that where there's somebody kind of bound, you know, but it's only themselves that's binding them there. You know, it's time to kind of unbind.
And it's all about doing the work, isn't it? Like, as coaches, we can help show you the way, we can ask you questions, we can unlock some of the things that are keeping you stuck. But it's how you then, like I was talking about embodiment and integration, how you then take that on board and actually apply that into your life is is the big thing. But sometimes, Susie, it just takes one question to collapse everything. I had this recently, actually, with a girl who had a troubled relationship with her mum. And I asked a question, something like, if I could wave a magic wand, what would you want your mum to tell you? And she sat, and then she started laughing. She was like, I don't know. And she kept laughing, and she was like, I actually don't know. So she had held on to this resentment or whatever it was, you know, this real kind of pain. And that one question just went, all that she says, I can't believe this. I've felt this way for 20 years and there's not even anything I want. And that was enough for her to actually collapse so many other things, you know, like I spoke about the pyramid when you work at the top. And that was one of the most beautiful moments I've had actually on my coaching journey so far, was just, you could see it all fall, you know, it was amazing.
Incredible. And yeah, I think, you know, I am very conscious of this, as I know you are, when working with clients, that our role is to empower people so they don't need us. Yeah. And as you say there, it really is that taking ownership. And that's where you get lasting results. That's where you get lifetime results, as opposed to just like, oh, well, I've dealt with that. Let's go with the next coach. You know, you need time, as you've mentioned, to embody it, to see it through. And then, yeah, you might want to work with a coach again. It might be about something different, might be working on a deeper level. I love working with coaches to support me in that period of growth, but not through a space of thinking they're going to fix it for me.
Yeah.
So can you share any tips or tricks? You know, obviously this time of year, January, can be classed as kind of quite a doom and gloom after the festivities and things. You know, anyone that's struggling with negative thinking, is there anything that you can suggest that might support them?
So the things with thoughts, and this is kind of covered, well, it's covered in the masterclass, is thoughts are just thoughts. People get so stuck in the story of the thought, and thoughts are generally made up. 90%, probably even more of it, is bullshit. It's either things that have happened in the past gone, there's nothing you can do at the past, or worries towards the future, the thing that hasn't even happened yet. And so we all miss the juicy present moment of what's going on right now. So when you can start to realize that the thoughts of the past are wasted energy, so much negative wasted energy, because there's nothing you can do about the past. And then the thoughts of the future are the what if scenarios, you're making it up. So when you can start to cultivate an awareness of your thinking and actually start to question your thoughts, okay, is this thought real or am I making it up? Even that question alone, if you're making it up, let it go, you know, like, let it go. Let's sing the song, let it go, because it's not serving your highest good. So the first thing I would say is really start to become aware of your thinking and your thought patterns and question them. Is it real or am I making it up? And if you're making it up, discount it. The other thing I would suggest, and this again is in the masterclass, is giving your thoughts a name. The stupidest name that you can think of, because you then dissociate or you create the thoughts as a third party, because you're not your thoughts, right? So when you're having, because a lot of people that I work with have really destructive negative thought patterns. So when Benny comes along, you can say, right, piss off, Benny, we're not having this conversation today. So you can almost create a bit of lightheartedness in it and actually create that separation between you and your thoughts. It's a neat wee trick for you to actually flip them away in the moment as just this name. And I've had some really funny names over the time. What are you going to call yours, Susie?
I don't know. The one that just came in my head just now is Betty.
Yeah, I've had a Betty before. That's a good one.
I've got a chicken called Betty though, so I feel like
all right, okay.
But
maybe Betty will come running when you shout. So that's a couple of things. The other thing I would think about is I would encourage people to do a list on their phone of 10 things that would take them out of their head and into the present, because a lot of the time when you're stuck in a negative thought cycle, it's hard to get yourself out of it.
But
if you've got a wee list on your phone that says take a bath, breath work, phone mum, like whatever it is, you can go and look at your list and go, no, I can't be arsed doing that. Don't want to do that. I'll phone my mum. So you've got your quick sort of easy reference where you can take yourself out of your head and into the present. Again, a good little tip. And maybe gratitude, you know, it's a big thing for all of us that's on the spiritual path, isn't it? But what is it that you're worrying about? What is it that you're thinking about? What can you be grateful for in that thing that's consuming you?
That's amazing. Cool. Thank you. That's so supportive. And I wondered if you might just share a bit about what you use yourself for your own mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. What do you do?
There's not enough hours in the day, is there, to do?
I know. Like, Leah, I know we're both quite similar in all the things that we love to do. And
consumed with these things. So I have a daily practice where I meditate, I journal, I don't journal necessarily every day, because I might write gratitude. I do a page of gratitude every day, and affirmations. I'll read affirmations, and I've only just redone my affirmations. I've got a full page. I'm actually doing a manifestation course at the moment, which is phenomenal. And I did a full page last night. So affirmations, and then I will throw in things periodically, or every day I'll add something different, like cards. Love pulling cards. Cacao, you know, I'll have a little cacao ceremony for one. Breath work, so phenomenal breath work. What else do I do? Oh, I have been journeying with plant medicine recently, ayahuasca, been dabbing into microdosing, also really amazing not for everybody, but also amazing depth and deep dive into your subconscious. So yeah, things like that. The one thing that I have fallen off the wagon on is my physical health, as probably most people are. But, you know, I used to be a really keen runner, and I hurt my hamstring a couple of years ago, and I've struggled to get a consistent exercise routine. So that's back to my embodiment. I am going to be embodying looking after my health as my best possible self this year. So that's going to be, you know, boot camp or running, walking. You know, I love getting out for a walk. But also trying to ditch the sugars, Susie. That's a big thing for me, because I've got a real sweet tooth. And I've actually just bought Davinia Taylor's book, which I'm going to dive into.
Oh, amazing. I've looked at that myself. I haven't bought it yet. So no, let me know how you got on with that. I managed 10 days sugar-free, but only due to COVID. It was incredible. You know, my dad brought me down all these cakes, and my neighbors brought me down stuff, and I was just like, no. Why I didn't maintain it, but I haven't gone quite back as crazy as
well, that's good.
I used to, but yeah.
Every cloud.
Yeah, exactly. half a stone lost in the process. So yeah, thank COVID for that.
That's the good things that have come out of that.
Blah. So yeah, no, definitely let me know.
That's probably most of the things that I do. And obviously another big thing for me is this year's connection and creating. So having come from a busy corporate environment to now working on my own from home, because obviously then the pandemic has meant we work from home, see clients on Zoom. I'm really, really missing the people connection. And obviously you and I met, you know, I've met a few great people over this year, but I want to do more face-to-face. Inspired by coming to your retreat, I must say, because I came to your retreat in July.
Yeah.
Was it July?
Yeah, well, I did too. There was one in July and one in August. So
yeah, which I thought was phenomenal. And for me, the best part about that was being with like-minded people. You know, it was all, and I was actually a bit jealous, thinking, oh, there's so many people, there's such a great spiritual community in Aberdeen. And I thought, there's nothing like this in East Lothian. I could create something like this. So inspired by that experience, I'm going to do a day retreat here in East Lothian, probably in March. And I've already started looking at venues and who's going to come along and things like that. And again, going back to the fears and the beliefs, you know, I've already got fear about doing that, thinking, oh, I'm not good enough to do that, and I won't know what to do. And I'm like, get out your own way, girl. You know, of course you can do this.
That
And
would be amazing.
that's just awareness as well, isn't it? That you've got to just get out of your way of your thoughts, because all that is thoughts. Of course I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, of
And it's
course I
being
can.
that purpose led. You mentioned that purpose and meaning, you know, and being driven by getting that community sharing, like you, because you had such a great experience with something similar, you know, kind of allowing others to have that experience as well.
Doesn't have to be perfect, does it? Because
No.
it's all about getting people together.
No, my retreat was not perfect. That's first I have run day retreats before, but yeah, that's my first residential retreats. So yeah, big learnings, and as you say, pushing through fear as well. It's the same with anything.
Absolutely.
I think so. Even my retreat was called Be Free. My book's called Be Free. The podcast is called Be Free. My coaching program's called Be Free. What does it mean to you to feel free, to have that sense of freedom?
Okay, I'm going to give you two things, because one's internal and one's external. So being a sovereign being for myself. So I choose how I feel. I choose what I do. I choose how I think. I choose how I show up.
I love that. I need to write that down.
Yeah, I know. And that is all doing the work. That's showing up for yourself every day. And it's not always plain sailing, is it? Like you and I both spoke about feeling like I was having a proper pity party in December, but I've got back into my flow and my groove. And that is the power that I have, is I can do that for myself. And even in times like COVID times, you know, when you go within and just, you know, focus on you as a sovereign being and forget all the fear and all the shit that's going on out there, then you can just actually come back to being free, being free within. So that would be my first thing. My other thing would be getting out into nature. You know, I had a 2-hour walk yesterday along the coastline at Gullin, right along the beach. It was gale force winds. The tide was right in. There was hardly a soul out, and I just felt alive. I felt so free, and I was just a moment. It was phenomenal. And then there was a forest going through and I was just like, this is just so enriching, you know.
Yeah,
that's probably, yes, those are my things. Getting out into nature. I love camping, and I love looking at the stars and with the moon and doing moon cycles, all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's me being free.
yeah, I can see that, because I can see you come alive as you're speaking about it. You're kind of like your energy is lifting as you're chatting through all those things. And I think that's the thing, it's so important to kind of make that time for our space.
Absolutely. And that's something that's, you know, on my 10 list that I mentioned. So when I am in my funk, I just took myself off for a walk by the ocean or in a forest, or I go and meditate, or I go and journal. So that all kind of, everything ties together, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I keep muting myself
Yeah.
because I've been left with this like cough and freeze post COVID. So yeah, trying to hold it in and sip my green tea. So within the Spirit and Soul membership, you have created a masterclass for us on cultivating positivity. I have done that masterclass when I was feeling really shit and low, and absolutely loved it. It really pulled me back up to what was important and how important mindset work is every single day. You know, we all need that reminder. It's very easy to slip out of those patterns that we need. Can you share a little bit about what our members can expect from that session?
Yeah, sure. We've probably touched on a fair bit of it, but really all around this relationship with thought and how thoughts are shaping our reality, and how we have to cultivate an awareness of the thoughts that we're thinking, the words that we're speaking, because they are shaping your reality. Now, I spoke about, just to touch on that, I spoke about that when my role was made redundant in 2018. When I reflected back on that, I manifested that unconsciously, because for the 6 months up to that, I kept thinking about people being made redundant. What if it's me? I'm next. How would I spend the money? I was thinking things like that. So I actually created that for myself, but I didn't mean it because I was so unaware of the thought patterns that I was having. So your thoughts are shaping your reality. The thoughts you've had in the past are shaping where you're at now. The thoughts you're having now are creating your future. So you've got to be aware. You've really got to start doing the daily discipline. Meditation is a thing. I know you're big on that as well. It's the thing that changes your relationship with thought. It's the thing that allows you to see your thoughts, to observe them, to tap into them. So we'll go into thought, and then we'll go into the 6 pillars that I've mentioned before, and just touch on how you can start to cultivate these 6 pillars within your life. And then there's questions which accompany that, just to help you get a dive a bit deeper into that. And obviously that just scratches the surface of what positive psychology coaching can do, because it's so much more deeper than that.
Yeah.
But hopefully it just gives your members an opportunity to reflect on how they can start to cultivate a bit more positivity in the month and the year. And
thank you. I think it's like the perfect start to the year. And I have actually opened the doors of the Spirit and Soul membership. I made this decision last week for January and at 2021 prices, because I know that this is a time where people can really benefit from cultivating that positive mindset, and from being in that negative mindset myself in December, knowing how important it is. So, as well as Susan's session, as well as meditation sessions with me, journaling sessions, Reiki, you have access to all the previous masterclasses, themes within the membership to support you on, confidence, human design, happiness, all sorts of different things there that can really, really support you at this time of year and beyond. And I know, Susan, you remember, you can give us a little.
And I actually did the workshop connecting with your guides.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love that. So I can vouch for everything that Susie is saying. It is a phenomenal site with so much value, and so many great teachers in there as well. So
absolutely, there's some incredible teachers, and I've got some wonderful ones lined up for this year ahead. And so come in, take a look, see what you think. I'll pop the link in the show notes so you can do that, or just head to my website. And if people want to connect with you, Susan, what's the best way for people to connect with you? What do you have going on just now? I'll also share your social media links so people can do that as well. But what's the best way to connect in? And
so probably on socials, Instagram, Facebook. I also have a website. You can contact me via that. If anybody has any questions or wants to ask anything else, I've got my signature, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, I've got a signature 10-week program that backing, and then it's about building. So it's what's keeping you stuck, what's the beliefs, the conditioning, the trauma, the whatever it is, and then it's about, okay, look, build. So what brings you purpose, what brings you meaning, what relationships do you want to nurture and grow, all that kind of stuff. And so that's my 10-week program. And then I've got, it depends where people are, of course. I am going to have a day retreat in East Lothian in March, and then I also have a group program which I normally run called All Starts With You, which is all around changing the relationship you have with yourself. So that will be coming up soon too. But contact me on any of my socials is probably the best, or my website, which is, you can put the link in the show notes, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you. And is there anything else you want to add before we jump off?
I guess the only thing is, for anybody who is stuck, put yourself first and go and seek help. And speak to a coach. It doesn't have to be me, it can be you, because it will be the best decision you ever make. You've only got one shot at life, and you have the potential to have the life that you want if you're ready to step up and do the work. And working with any coach will help you start on that journey. It will be life-changing for you, so don't suffer.
So inspiring. Thank you so much for your time today, for sharing your experience, sharing those nuggets of wisdom. And Susan's always great at sharing things along on her socials and things like that as well. So do go connect with her, follow her. And as she's mentioned there, feel free to reach out to either of us. And if you're listening to this podcast or watching this, do share to social, share with your friends, give us a tag. We'd love to connect with you guys deeper.
Definitely. And thank you for having me. I've really loved doing this for the membership.
Thank you. And I will look forward to seeing you real soon, and maybe getting down to your retreat.
Absolutely. I'd love that. Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.